Hi everybody, welcome back to Ursus Life. I'm so excited to have you guys here with me today and going through my first week of completing the workbook, Weight Loss God's Way, and also to give you an update on my current progress and where I am so far on my weight loss journey. So I want to start with saying first, like and subscribe if you want to follow along on the journey and to be notified when I have a new video, those type of things. And also, if you haven't seen my previous video, I encourage you to watch it because it kind of gives you a background on how I got to this place of doing this workbook and why I'm doing the workbook. With that said, let's get started. I have my notes here, so I'll be looking off to the side a little bit to read along because it was so much good information that I had to take notes. Well, I completed a notebook, but I also made additional notes for this video because there's just so many things I want to share. And also, for those of you who have said you're going to follow along with me, I would love to know your thoughts on your first week completing it as well. So the very first thing I want to do is to identify what the book calls success factors. And the reason why is because it's been made very clear over this first week that everything is going to revolve around these success factors and what we do with them to transform our thinking from the thinking that's gotten us where we are and transform into the thinking that's going to take us where we want to go. So the 4 success factors are: 1, belief. And it's basically, that's what it is. It's our beliefs. What do we believe? And why do we believe those things? We believe something negative about ourselves, and we can believe something positive about ourselves. It's just affecting our beliefs. Number 2 is self-image. And it's how we see ourselves, not necessarily our picture in the mirror, but how we see ourselves in our mind's eye. Do we see ourselves as a failure? Do we see ourselves as someone who always wins? How do we see ourselves? Because that affects what manifests what we see here with our physical eye. And also self-esteem. And one word they used for self-esteem was deservability. And I thought that was so good because it was like, what's the level of deservability that we feel? Do we feel that someone else deserves love more than us? Does someone else deserve to win more than us? And if so, why do we feel that way? So self-esteem and deservability go hand in hand. And then the last one is self-empowerment. How in control do I feel in my ability to change? Do I see myself as am I empowered to make changes in my life? Or am I a victim of circumstances, of my history, of my past, of other people's input or power over me? Those things make a difference. So the focus of this book, I can tell, is going to be on developing in those 4 areas. And over this first week, it has been so good to really take a deep dive into each one of these areas. Because one thing that is made clear in this book is that the goal is to not just reach a healthy goal weight, but to be able to stay there month after month, year after year, decade after decade, without even thinking about it. Like, you want to just reach it and then you live your life. It's not a constant battle of back and forth and back and forth. And so these exercises that you do are geared towards helping you retrain your thoughts, get rid of negative thoughts, replace them with the right thoughts. And they call these negative thoughts self-sabotaging beliefs, SSBs. And it's the tape that we play in our head that tells us, you're never going to reach it. You always try and fail. It always comes back and it's worse. This person that you saw a video on, they reached their goal, but it's because they have A, B, C, D, and you don't have that. There's a reason why you're here and they're there. So those are the things that we're talking about. Now, I had to really some of these exercises, I'm not going to go into like the details of the answers, but I did realize and recognize that a lot of my beliefs about myself, the self-image that I have of myself, the level of self-esteem that I have, and also the level of self-empowerment that I operate in, a lot of those things were established decades ago, way long ago. And I was able to see the source of some of those things that I may have heard as a child, as a young adult, and then circumstances that seem to reinforce that belief about myself. And it took some real, I'm going to say courage, to really face those things and unpack the source of where they came from, and also to then be bold enough to say, well, those are lies. Those are lies. That's not true about me. I'm not that person. I'm not who I believed I was. And that's a good thing, because I do have the power to make these changes. I am someone who wins. I am someone who reaches goals, achieves goals, reaches them, exceeds them. Okay, so I want to go over some basic steps that were incorporated in this first week, and maybe you guys want to go along and try them too. So the first thing was I had to rate myself on a score of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, where I feel like I was on each one of these success factors. I had to rate myself on beliefs, my ability to believe what I could and could not do in this life, and where that came from, right? So I had to rate myself on a 1 to 10 on that. 1 to 10 on self-image, how I saw myself in my mind's eye. Rate myself on self-esteem, my level of deservability, 1 to 10. And I had to rate myself on a level of 1 to 10 on my perceived self-empowerment. How did I feel my ability was to actually change the circumstances in my life? So I did that part, and I was honest with myself. And I must say that as I was reading the lessons, by the time I got to the point of scoring myself, I think I bumped up my scores a little bit, because my mind was already changing. Like, no, I wasn't a 10 on anything, but I wasn't a 1, 2, or 3 either. But I could tell that just from the reading, the material, and then the scriptures that went along with it, and the lessons, and understanding where these things came from, it was already beginning to affect my mindset, which is amazing. And then for each one of the success factors, after I rated myself, I had to go back and then write down 3 self-sabotaging beliefs that I tell myself in each one of those factors. So under beliefs, self-image, self-esteem, self-empowerment, I had to write down 3 beliefs that I was telling myself that wasn't true, but it was keeping me from reaching my goal. And then once I wrote down those 3 beliefs, I went back and I had to write down 3 counter beliefs to replace the negative thoughts. So for example, if my thought was, I always lose, then I replace that with, I always win. Or if my thought was, this never works, or I never lose weight, it never works, like getting healthy is too, or it's too hard, it's like, it's too hard, then no, this is easy for me to do. It's easy for me to do. Or if it was, I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy, I'm not someone who enjoys workouts and healthy food. No, I am someone, I enjoy taking care of my body. I enjoy fitness. I enjoy working out. I enjoy feeding my body healthy foods. So if you see what I'm saying, so it goes like that. Whatever negative thoughts that you've told yourself, or that somebody told you, and that you believed it. If we were children and somebody called you dumb and then you believed that you were dumb. Well, I'm not dumb. I'm very smart. I'm an intelligent person. Those type of things is what I'm talking about. So for each one of the negative self-sabotaging beliefs, you create a new one. And this is all part of the process of beginning the steps towards changing that running dialogue in your head that's always in the back, that no matter what you're doing, you know, you could be doing great, but there's always something back there telling you it's going to mess up, you're going to run off the rails, you're going to mess it up. That's what you want to stop. You want to stop that running dialogue that's telling you you're not going to make it, and begin to tell yourself, no, I am going to make it. So to change your perspective from expecting the worst to expecting the best. Because there's no reason to expect the worst. There's no reason. There's all the reason. If you're doing the right things, there's all the reason to expect the good outcome, right? But if we listen to the self-sabotaging beliefs, the thoughts in our mind, we will be on the right road and we'll just turn ourselves around and drive to the wrong place, you know, just because of thoughts. And I think understanding the power of our thoughts and our minds and how that affects what we actually do is so important. And that is something that I'm seeing here, because one of the key lessons that I learned this week was when our thoughts and our actions line up, things are not hard. They're not hard. It's not hard to get up and walk every day. It's not hard to choose to eat the right foods. It's not hard to work on a project that you want to complete. It's not hard to do whatever it is that you want to do in life. But when your thoughts and your actions are not lined up, when your thoughts are telling you that you can't do it and you're trying to do it, it is very hard and it is a struggle, and you're always trying to resist something. I don't want to always be resisting, you know, cake and pie and ice cream. That's just an example. You know, I don't always want to be resisting those things. I just want to say I don't want those things, and like it's not even a thought. And I'm gonna tell you, this past week has been one of the best weeks as far as my personal food consumption, because as you all know, I follow the Eat Like a Bear, the OMAD, eat one meal a day. It's either a salad or it's heavy on cooked vegetables and a protein, very low carb. And it's like this week with me changing, like being more focused on my goal. Like my goal is to reach my goal weight. My goal is to reach my highest level of fitness and health. My goal is to prepare my body so that I live a long, healthy life, that I'm not a burden on my husband and children when I get older because of poor choices I made now. No, I don't want that. I want to be able to get around and do whatever I want to do 65, 75, 85, 95 because I took care of myself and no one else is burdened or inconvenienced because of my poor choices. And those things being in my mind constantly this week has made it so easy to walk by the candy aisle and not say, oh, you know, I'll just pick up a little snack. I'll just have like a little something. You know, whereas before, you know, give me, you know, just a little piece of candy or a little piece of that. It's like this week I actually experienced that. I actually experienced the not having to resist it it didn't really mean anything to me. I wanted to do the best choice for me. And that, to me, was a huge victory for this week. That I can already tell, like, my mindset is changing around how I treat myself. But I shared a quote on Instagram that I got from the book, and it just really spoke to me. And it said, you do not need to improve yourself so that you can become acceptable. You need to accept yourself as is so that you will then be free to improve. How powerful is that? We try, I say we, but I mean me. I've tried so many ways, you know, developing perfectionist tendencies and all different types of things to try to make myself fit and be good enough to deserve something or good enough for something. Whereas, you know what? I've always been good enough. I've always been good enough. I've always been worthy of love. I've always been worthy of the best. And that is something I think many of us struggle with, whether we acknowledge it or not, or whether we realize it or not. But just like all of the times of, I know personally, thinking back on all the times where I celebrated others and minimized myself. At Christmas, I want to give to everyone else, but don't give me anything. Why? Because why do I feel like I didn't need to have anything? Or celebrating everyone else's birthday, but not celebrating mine. Why not? And it was because I had such a low level of deservability, and it was tied to what have I done to make myself worthy of deserving these things. That's a serious flaw that was in my thinking. And I'm not saying it's 100% turned around, but I recognize it now, and it's affecting my actions. So now when I wake up and I want to eat my salad, I want to have my 1 meal a day, I want to exercise, I want to take care of myself, I want to get enough sleep, I want to do these things for me. It can seem very strange if you're not used to being aware of these things, because these are things that we do every day, right? But it's when you become consciously, you make yourself aware of it. Like, I'm doing this for me, because the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And I think too often we skip the as you love yourself part, and we try to love everyone else, pour into everyone else, especially women and mothers, wives. We pour into everyone else but ourselves. We're showing love to everyone else but ourselves. And this is not like a selfish, narcissistic, self-absorbed type of thing. That's not what it is. It's just basically being good to yourself. Basically treating yourself like how you treat other people. Being nice to yourself like how you're nice to your spouse, like you're nice to your children, like you're nice to strangers. We don't go around telling strangers you're never going to win. You know, we encourage people. Even when we don't think that person's going to win, we still encourage that person. You know, we give them our best support. Well, we need to give ourselves our best support. So these are some of my biggest takeaways from this week's lesson, is that it's a process, and I can already see the difference. And I'm going to continually remind myself that I don't need to improve myself to become acceptable. I need to accept myself as is, and then I'm free to improve. And it is truly a freedom to improve. It's like a burden gets lifted off your shoulders, and where I'm no longer like on a what is it, the little thing, the hamster wheel. I'm no longer on the hamster wheel of life trying to be good enough, like me, you know, accept me. Is this good enough? Is this okay? No, I'm off that. I'm at peace, and now I am free to do what I need to do to make my life better. That is such a big step for me, because it's always been a push, an effort, a work to try to make myself do what I need to do. Because as we all know, we all understand the components of weight loss. You eat less food than you need, your body's going to burn the calories. The fat's going to go away. So we know it's not just physical, it's mental. What is it that makes it so hard where we resist doing what we need to do for ourselves? And that's what it is. It's a resisting of doing what we need to do for ourselves. So what I'm doing is breaking down that resistance, and it feels so good. And I tell you, I've had many days of revelation, many days of just giving thanks that I finally found that third leg of my stool. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I feel like I had the first two. I found Eat Like a Bear, and I'm so thankful because it's the first eating plan that I got that I was able to stick with, follow, and I got results. And I'm so thankful that, you know, I had the idea, and I believe I was inspired to do that, just to walk 1 mile a day every day for 30 days to get myself moving. And the more I've done it, it's becoming part of my life now. Like, this is what I do. I walk every day. I follow this low carb, Eat Like a Bear meal plan. But there was still resistance, some of it trying to make myself do it. And it's this thing, it's thinking that the residue of thinking, you don't deserve this. Well, why don't I? I do deserve to have a fit body. I do deserve to have a healthy, strong body. I do deserve to live a full, active life. I do deserve that. And I'm going to have it. So that's been my biggest takeaway from this week. I would love to hear what your experience has been with the book, with the workbook, and would love for you to share in the comments below what your biggest takeaways were. I know that going through the exercises, listing where you thought these thoughts came from, how do you think they've affected your life so far, and how do you think that they will continue to affect your life if you don't change? Those were real eye-openers, and let me tell you, it will light the fire under you and motivate you to change those thoughts. Because when you use your imagination to see where this road is leading, I'm not going to end up, if it's in my abilities, I'm not going to have self-inflicted pain. Okay? Like, no. There's enough things going on out here in this world to where I don't need to be assisting with anything negative in my life. So I am willingly choosing to take care of myself, willingly choosing to see myself in a positive light as someone who deserves to live her best life, as someone who deserves to have her hopes and dreams come true, as someone who has the power to make these changes in her life. That's what I'm doing. So I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know how it's going, and I'll be back next week with another update. And this week has been so great. I am truly excited for the coming week. And I'm loving everything that I'm learning about myself. So I'm just truly thankful that I've got this third piece, which is changing the mindset, so that they all three can work together. My food, my exercise, and my mind working together to bring me into my optimal health and my best life. So I look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments below. Please like and subscribe and follow and do all the things on social media, and let's stay in touch. Let's encourage each other, and let's push each other towards our ultimate goals and our best life.